Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with three S's. I'm your host here, Chantele and Francis, with my amazing co-host, Tanya. How do you do today, Tanya?
I'm doing well. Happy hump day. Cheers, everyone.
Oh, yes. Some vino and some bachelorette talk.
Yeah, I mean, we have to do something to spice it up. This was a rough episode, I think.
It
For
was rough. So I guess that's your overall opinion of this
yeah,
episode. I thought that it was a terrible attempt at showing us why Clayton is the next Bachelor. Like this was all that this episode this was for, was
mhm.
to prove that, and I think it did the opposite.
Yeah, I don't think it succeeded in that. Um, I think we really felt the effort that was occurring. I think that was my kind of take on it. Was I see what they were trying to do and I could feel them trying to do it. And it didn't really land very seamlessly for me.
And even in the beginning of the episode, we see all the guys that are left. There's 8 guys still there, and they're talking about how the next episode is hometowns. I'm like, why is it so soon? Oh my gosh. Like, I felt it should have
Right.
been maybe 1 or 2 more episodes just to like take 2 guys out, then 2 guys out, like not just do like a complete cut in half. But whatever, it's their show. And so they're talking about like how it's gonna be hometowns next week, but it just seemed like everybody was fed lines from the producers, and it was they weren't delivering them well. Like even my guy Joe was just was like, whatever he said, he was just like, oh yeah, and like, it's going to be going down to 4 guys now. And it's just like it wasn't a normal flowing conversation. It just seemed like line readings.
Something about the jump from 8 to 4 too is also like so extreme that it sort of became obvious where it was going to me kind of early on in the episode. I know we were kind of unsure who was going to get like that fourth and final spot, but as things were progressing,
It was
to me I
obvious.
was like, oh, okay. Like here's what's happening, I guess. And like it didn't really create any suspense. That being said, I'm pleased about who's left, but yeah.
Me too. Okay, so Natalie's here, and I guess maybe before we get into this episode, we need to talk about the messiness of Bachelor Nation right now. So Natalie says Bachelor Nation drama between 2 couples. Yes, so we know that Tayshia and Zach broke up. I mean, I don't know if that's that messy. Have you heard anything about that situation at all?
No, I have to admit I haven't been very on top of that entire story, other than the leaking of them being on a break, and then the official statement from Tasha's team, or from Tasha. Um, it's unfortunate, but I like Zach. I like Tasha and Zach. I like them together as a couple. Whatever. I just think they're on different trajectories in life right now, and that's not a bad thing for either of them. It makes sense to me that they wouldn't necessarily be together forever, because she's definitely rising in her entertainment career and he has his own business that he's very invested in, and doesn't seem like he needs to be immersed in that world so much. So I think that's probably something to do with it, as a total outsider opinion, but it's sad.
Yeah.
I did like them. I like them together.
I definitely can see her being like, "Well, we have to go to this like this party or this event or something like that." And he's like, "I don't want to go." And he's like, "Well, we have to show up together." And like, I think that also them needing to have a public presence as a couple, I think that he was probably a little bit put off by that. Even though I have to say, Zach did go on a nationally like broadcasted TV show to find a partner. So the fact
Yeah.
that there's a lot of television and people are interested about your relationship, it shouldn't come to a surprise to you. Like I get wanting to have privacy. I get that you like you don't owe anything necessarily to the audience, but also maybe respect the audience a little bit for being involved in your love story, because we want to see you doing well and we want to see you guys together. And so I just think that if he wasn't expecting something in this nature, like her wanting to be part of the entertainment world at all, I think he shouldn't have come on the show, because he's going to get somebody that's interested in publicizing their life on TV.
Yeah.
It's just a fact. So,
and there's always going to be like things that you think you can handle, and then maybe when you're actually I just watched Spencer, which is the Diana movie, so it's like very in my mind of just like you have signed on for something in a way, to be a part of something, but when you're actually in it, it's like so much worse maybe than you even imagined. I don't really know. So yeah, whatever the reasoning is, we don't actually know. So
yes,
it's speculation, but
well, people were saying that in interviews and stuff like that, they didn't appear to be very happy. It didn't seem like they were having a good time in a relationship together. And so, yeah, maybe considering it's only been a year and it's already like no joys left in that relationship. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I hope the best for her, but I kind of see her with somebody a little bit more flashy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I see her somewhere with somebody that's like likes going to events, kind of in the public eye. Like I see her with somebody like that, not somebody that's, you know, behind the scenes and has a very respectable job and profession and career, but not really the same vibe as what I think that she wants and is looking for, really. Well, we hope for the best for them. Absolutely. Hi, Dabu. Happy Turkey Day. I mean, we're in Canada, so we had Turkey Day like a month ago, but we appreciate the well wishes. Hi, Tamika. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so the other messy breakup is the Katie Blake of it all and the introduction to a new but old flame. Overall thoughts on this mess?
I'm just like so over the way that entire season played out, honestly. Like I feel like the entire thing now is just like kind of a waste of time, which I suppose it always was, depending on how you look at it.
We hated it. We were not enjoying it. So
I just think like I liked John from what we saw of him on the show, which was not super featured, but like I liked his vibe. Surprised that this is happening now, but not because there's like Reddit had basically predicted this for so long ago. The timeline's very sus. I'm just like, this is, and I just think the entire 12 Days of Messy thing was also just like such a weird thing to watch play out on social media. She just doesn't hit for me. So everything that she does kind of like grates on me, including this reveal. Though I did think it was funny that in the video that she posted for the last
Blake was there.
That he was up there on the plane, apparently. So I'm just like, girl, what's going on?
Oh. Well, her last name is Thurston, and I'm thinking that she should change it maybe to Thirsty, because tell me if it's a hot take or not, but it's something that popped into my head is that definitely I would say that Michelle has a flashier, really more Bachelorette season than Katie got. Katie's season seemed a little bit more, dollar store, and Michelle's is more Neiman Marcus or whatever. It's just a step up. It's a little fancier. They're doing a little bit more traveling, and it seems that Michelle is going to really find a good connection. So do you think that there was a slight bit of messiness and just kind of want to like take some of the attention away from Michelle with the timing of this dropping of information and new relationship to kind of take away from what's going on with Michelle? Because Michelle's doing her press tours right now, right? She's going on all the junkets and talking about like her Final Four and all that stuff. So the fact that Katie decides to break up with Blake a month ago. And then within that time starts doing these 12 days of messy where she's getting into like fights online with Becca for like, or not necessarily fights, but unfollowed by Becca, all this stuff, a lot of attention going around her and her relationships. And then having a reveal on Bachelor Day. Like, it's just kind of
yeah, I mean, she's definitely like trying to play the social media thing. Like, she's like, Taylor Swift re-release, that aligns perfectly with my fan base. Let me leverage this in some like kind of ridiculous way, especially because half of the messy relationships she's referencing weren't even real relationships to begin with. So I don't know that it was really the bombshell that she was, thinking. But then I was also online, like when it was dropping, and there were people like so interested in what she was going to do for the last day and wondering if it was going to be about Greg and wondering if it was going to be this thing or that if it was going to be her revealing her relationship with John. So maybe she is good at using social media. I don't really know. I just know it's not for me. Her content is not for me.
Not for me at all. Hi, Bean. Hey, Chantele and Tanya. Shoot, I had December in the Tasha Zach breakup pool. Well, I'm surprised that they broke up this quickly. I was hoping that they would make it at least for the 2 years so they can keep that ring. But no matter what, I wasn't fully in that relationship. Like, it wasn't something that I was like, I really felt the sparks. I thought that he was always a little bit more into her, or like in an intense kind of way, if that makes sense. Like, I always felt that he really was like, it's all about you, and just so locked in. And I was just like, wait, you don't know her that well. Like, why are you so locked in? So I always had my reservations about their relationship, but I did think that maybe they would keep up appearances for 2 years. But December, though, it's pretty close, Bean.
Next one being you just have to take away a month from where you actually predict it, as I feel like you're usually so close. So just like minus 1 month from your next prediction.
Bean, what was your prediction for Katie and Blake? Wasn't yours June, or was that yours?
I think it was a month off. I swear. Something along those lines.
Wow. Yes, Katie thirsty, because she's thirsty for some attention. I'm not gonna lie. And kind of like you, she doesn't hit for me either. I don't find her humor funny at all. And I feel like for somebody that's on Matt's season to be like standing up for like the way people are supposed to be treated, and like, not doing any bullying, and then on her season, it's, same similar type of conversations are being had. And I think it was very rude how she decides to unfold these 12 days of messy and then a new relationship a month after, without seemingly have given Blake a heads up. Like, I just think that's quite rude and just unkind to somebody that you were considering spending the rest of your life with. So now you're going to go and get in a relationship publicly, like a month after your engagement ended, with somebody that you were hanging out with while you were engaged. It's just kind of rude, unkind.
And using footage in your announcement from a period of time where you were dating your previous fiance, for all intents and purposes. It's messy. You got to give her credit.
I'll give her messy credit. Definitely 12 days of messy. But when I watched that, let me see if I can pull up that TikTok or whatever it was. It annoyed me so much. Where did I send it to you? Is it here? It so annoyed me. Not that one. Because, like, it just seems so control. Like, does she really have this, like, the heart flutters for John? Like, I like him a lot. I think he's a very kind person. Does he live in San Diego?
Yeah, he does.
So, like, even when she's going to move to San Diego and she's still engaged to Blake, like, that's pretty rude.
Yeah. It's strange. I wonder if maybe there was like a necessity for their relationship to be kind of pushed on the back end, Katie and Blake's, I mean, so that it would seem like something came of that season, and it maybe was unraveling much earlier than we
Yeah.
even realized, because based on the timelines, it's like crossover, and maybe she was still in a relationship, but she could have started to have feelings for John or whatnot. I don't really know. I'm not in her shoes, but like maybe it was done, like the writing seemed to be on the wall probably for longer than what their actual relationship ended up being. So, ooh.
Hi, Mary. Happy Wednesday, ladies. Glad I made it to the live. Glad to have you here. Thanks for joining us. All right. So you think Katie would be that petty? LOL. You are probably right. LOL. Yes, Katie is petty. Like,
remember her video to Maggie?
so petty. Dabu says Katie likes drama. Absolutely. Inserted herself in drama on Mount season. Yep. Gave Aaron and company roses when they snitch. Absolutely. Gave that cringe speech to Thomas. Absolutely. She's not my cup of tea, but I guess she's given her people what they want. Most feel that Katie and John Hersey were dating while she was engaged to Blake. I mean, the timeline is interesting. I'm sure that it started off as friends when she moved to San Diego. Maybe he was the only person that she knew there, and so he was taking her out and stuff like that, maybe. And then it's pretty convenient that she has a new boyfriend built in for when she breaks up with her fiance. So maybe she planned it. Maybe she was like, I want to have a buffer relationship to get over Blake, or I don't know. It's not the way I would handle things.
I guess she's just like making the full transition to influencer now too. Like, even I'm noticing in the way that she's styling herself and the way that she's like kind of like presenting is very Bachelor girl, which is like what she was supposed to not really be, right? Like she's supposed to be kind of like a regular girl by her own styling standards. So it's just like interesting to watch her kind of descend further and further into the Bachelor girl. And yeah, I don't know that that's maybe her best move, but good luck, Katie. Whatever she's doing is keeping her name in people's mouth. So we just spent 10 minutes talking about her. She's doing something.
And we're going to look at her story, or John's story right now anyways as well. Like, it's just so contrived, in my opinion.
Like, who filmed that? Producers? I'm wondering what he's thinking.
I mean, I'm just wondering if maybe it's all fake. Maybe. So that he can get some Instagram followers and, you know, she can have the attention and be about their relationship as opposed to the breakup with her and Blake. So maybe he's in on it.
Just like that, all the COVID seasons are crumbling. We, when this season began, we had many couples intact from these bubble seasons, and like they've all dropped like flies. Claire and Dale are done. Tasha and Zach are done now. Katie's been done with everyone, but now this has emerged and her and Blake are done. So much for that, I guess. And except for Matt and Rachel, still going strong. So
they are still going strong, but it's because they're not going to get engaged ever, I don't think. So maybe that's what the issue is like the pressure of the engagement is not allowing them to stay in a relationship. I also think that they whipped these seasons together too quickly. You know what I mean? Like, I know we knew who Claire's men were beforehand. That was a problem, obviously, because she was able to scope out Dale and decide that he was the guy. I think that if they took more to that time though and like brought her some more men that were age appropriate, like I think that there was an opportunity for her to find a successful relationship, but no, it's not what they wanted. They're giving her men that are 15 years her junior. It's just not realistic. And even, Dale, he's like almost 10 years younger than her. Like, they might not be in the same place. So I wish that they just did better casting jobs for these leads. And then they would maybe have more successful seasons.
It's true.
Anyways, to where I think they did a better job casting. Let's go back to this episode, even though it wasn't great. We see Michelle with her students, and do you think these are her actual students?
I guess so. I was having a hard time figuring that out. Did
It
they
seemed
like
very age
pull
varied.
from her actual students who was most like telegraphic to like actually do this? Who could present in front of an audience?
Like maybe they're all in acting already, and that they are just like found some actors that are also her students, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe
I was
they
just
posed the
like,
question to
why?
the
I guess because they're back in her hometown. That's why they did this again. I was like, why did they do the students thing again? But those weren't her students last time. Those were just fourth graders or whatever, fifth graders.
So these three or four students of hers goes and talks to the guys and said that they're going to be the ones that are planning the dates, and that they're going to be choosing who gets the one-on-one. And this is where the beginning of the Clayton Bachelor audition slash like try to explain to us why he's the Bachelor. Like, this is where it starts to begin, because Clayton wants to build a fort. His fort making skills makes him your next Bachelor. What'd you think, Tanya?
This is another prime example of them making us feel like we're stupid. Like, stop this. Like, this entire thing was so ridiculous. To see it play out so clearly, maybe no, it's not even because we know. Like, they were clearly editing it in a way where this was supposed to be kind of like his audition, essentially, for the lead. Except to me, it feels like they already determined that he was the lead. And they were like, you need to do this way. And like, these are the things that you need to hit. And we are going to stack the deck in your favor. You just need to like show up and deliver. And he didn't deliver for me. Like, he didn't feel like a real human in any of these scenes. He felt like a plank of wood, honestly. Like, there was like nothing happening. And it just made me feel irritated that I even had to invest in this, knowing he wasn't going to last for sure, knowing hometowns are next week. Like, obviously he's not going to make it. She's barely talked to this guy. And then secondly, like, to watch him struggle through all of these segments and just like them to like put as much music as they want to in the background to emphasize whatever's happening here. I'm not buying it. Like, it was weak and dull. Just so dull.
It was so dull for him to, it just seemed as though he was, I'm going to act like I'm so great with kids. I am going to build the best fort. Are you guys excited for the best fort ever? And I was just like rolling my eyes. It's like, be normal, be you. I thought it was funny that the kids also are like, they don't like Martin, which I thought was hilarious. And they thought that he wore too much cologne. I was like, they're on the money with that one. But I think that they were definitely fed lines for the producers to be bigging up Clayton so much.
Oh yeah.
It was awkward.
It was.
Hi, Sam. Sam says Clayton's whole segment made me want to throw up. Yeah, I was very uncomfortable by it because it just was so phony, and it was only in there because they're trying to justify as to why they've already chosen him to be the Bachelor. Like, who do you think would be chosen instead or like people be rooting for instead if it wasn't him?
Whoever doesn't win. Like,
the opposite person. Okay. So like
Joe
or Nate.
Yeah. Whoever doesn't win. Like, any of that would be better.
They're probably like, oh, there are people that like these mixed race men that are going to be the final two. We're going to have to just push that it's going to be a white guy and just like try to make them believe it's the white guy. Because it's like, it doesn't make any sense of why it's Clayton. Out of all the people on the season, that's Sean.
They didn't even need to. Like, it doesn't make sense that it's him, like you're saying, because realistically, no one was telling them they had to cast from this group of guys. They could have cast from anyone that they had already been considering. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm still not in favor of Michael A. or whatever other options were floating around, but like, this just is so strange of a commitment. Like they're clearly just, maybe he's easy to produce or something. Like I don't know like what the situation is. Like I don't know if it's like they wanted to go in the direction with Jesse Palmer and to have this whole thing happen. Like I'm not really sure. It just felt, the forcing of it emphasizes to me how he's not a good fit, because it felt so unnatural. Like it didn't feel right watching it.
Natalie asked if I saw what Martin said on his Instagram after the episode. I saw him had a post, but I didn't watch it because like I find him to be so unsavory. Like he's just he's I was trying to say that he was attractive a couple weeks ago, and since that moment, his stock has plummeted. I think that he's one of the worst contestants we've seen in a while. With like, I don't even think that he's that respectful about women in general. I don't think he's a good guy anymore at all. So no, but Natalie, I'm gonna look it up and see if I can find it, or if you're looking that up.
I'm looking at it.
Is it terrible?
It's just like him. So essentially, it's a post of him. He's wearing a tank top that says Final Rose material. And he's just talking about how he's not perfect and people should get to know him first before judging, and that, you only see maybe 30 minutes of him on a show that's edited. And like, I guess he's probably getting a lot of negative comments.
Yeah, like you're pretty rude to the Bachelorette.
So whatever. I still am not interested.
Me neither.
Like no. I'm not starting a hate parade, but at the same time, I'm like, your vibe's not nice. Like I'm not into it.
Yeah, he's not Final Rose material by any means.
It's not. Maybe that's Paradise material. Maybe.
But I have to say, I would prefer Martin as the Bachelor over Clayton.
I love when you get like extreme.
Wouldn't you? It would be more interesting of a season.
It would be more interesting of a season, but the blatant disrespect for women is tough.
It's true, but
we haven't seen that appealing yet, though. Maybe it's simmering within. It's just not obvious.
Man, so we hear like the voiceover of the kids being, "We liked one guy the best. Clayton is going to get the date," and I was just like, really? I mean, I knew that. I get it. Like, yes, like last week he was the best at yelling and throwing a log and eating fish. So he was the best at that. And now he's the best at making a fort. So of course he's going to be getting the one-on-one date with Michelle. And I was just rolling my eyes this entire beginning of the episode. I couldn't even believe how bad it was so far.
And you're telling me that the only person that didn't get a one-on-one date with her at the end of this, when all is said and done, is Olu? Like, why couldn't he win this? Because this is your segment. This is your segment for him to be set as the next Bachelor, not because it actually has anything to do with
Michelle. No.
It's what Michelle thinks. Like, Michelle didn't even seem to care about it that much, honestly.
She doesn't like him. We'll get more to that shortly. So Sam says, I would like Olu or Rodney or Nate as a Bachelor. Joe is a bit too quiet for me. Yeah, Joe would be a bit of a quiet Bachelor, but maybe though having all these women and having to have these conversations, maybe that would bring something out in him. But I do think that those other three are just a little bit more communicative, and I think that they would make more captivating leads. I would see all of them before I want to see Clayton. We already decided that we're pretty much not going to cover it as like a podcast. I might recap the episode and do like an edited version of something, but it's bad, guys. I'm not interested in his season at all. Like, not even a hint. Maybe the will be interesting. So Debu says the final four are all people of color. A white guy that finishes in 8th place is Bachelor.
That's really
Bachelor
says it
Nation.
all. This is why the show is going to die. Like, it refuses to actually change. It changes for surface, and it just keeps going back to its old bullshit. So, it's this. I don't think the move to Clayton is gonna like have ratings soar. Like, do you?
I can't imagine. I can't imagine them having ratings soar.
Like, I don't think so.
Especially because he's not interesting as a person. Like if they went back to this formula and he was just like a really fun, a very attractive white person that is appealing to all races and all people from different backgrounds, then maybe they would have a hit. But the fact that he doesn't seem to have he has zero sex appeal to me. Like he doesn't like I can't picture him kissing like 100 women. Like he just doesn't have any sexual vibe that like I just don't see it working that well. It's kind of like, I mean, I don't know if he's the same as Colton, but the same way as Colton, I was just like not here for him. I wasn't vibing with him. I didn't find him sexually attractive at all. Like I just was like, I'm not really into him. I kind of have that similar vibe with Clayton.
Yeah.
It's like, no, he has no vibe for me.
No.
All right. So, and like I find all backgrounds attractive, and I definitely think he's a good looking human being, but I do not find him sexually attractive at all. Like, ooh. So BB says the producers definitely want to get back to traditional Bachelor, absolutely, with a white lead, and maybe Clayton was the only one with an unproblematic past. Well, like, I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to see it, but Rick might have been a little bit more interesting. Like this like intensity. He's so intense. As I said already, Martin would have been more interesting to me. Yeah, they've lost the plot, or trying to hang on to a plot that's like the story's done. Story's done. So we see Michelle waiting outside of a car for whomever her students are going to pick for her, and she's like, "Oh my God, it's you, Clayton! You must have done something really amazing for them to pick you." And he's like, "Oh, it's my fort building skills." And she's just kind of like, "Oh, this is not going to be that interesting." Do you think that she knew that it was going to be Clayton? Like, what did you think? How much do you think she was informed?
I don't know. I don't know how much she was informed, but I think there hasn't been a date elimination yet. So she had to have known that was a possibility for sure. Because sometimes more than one person's already been let go on a date. I guess it depends on the season. This season, everyone that's gone on a date with her has stayed, right? Like there's no one that she actually sent home during their date portion. So, yep. And also, if it's like giving you the rose means I'm meeting your parents, then definitely not. Like,
No.
she must have known immediately. Like, we just need to like play out this day, and that's it.
So her kids are going to be arranging this particular date. I actually thought it was pretty fun having kind of a pizza party inside of the limo. I thought that was a nice little touch. And the rest of their date was going to be in the museum, where we get to see how how comfortable Clayton is with himself. He's like acting like a bird and showing his dance moves. And when they're running around playing hide and seek, I just was like, it's just so phoned in, and no like actual real energy. They're not actually having fun. It was so phony to me,
especially because we have like viable options for Michelle this season, where we are kind of seeing a couple of love stories develop in a way that hit on those traditional aspects. Like for anyone that's watching the show in an aspirational way, there's at least two people where that traditional love story vibe is coming up. And the fact that there's multiple options is what makes it exciting. It highlights how that's not there with everybody else. Like, you can put them in a really nice setting and you can film it with nice cameras and you can do the angles that you do, and it is picture for picture what it needs to be, but it doesn't feel magical in any way. It doesn't.
Not even like the space voiceovers of her students.
No, that was whatever.
Or him hoisting her up to grab the notes tied on butterflies. I was just like, he's not even comfortable doing that, like with her around his shoulders. It was like, it's like you're really trying to be this like fun couple, and it's just not. It's so phony, so phony. So we do see back at the I guess it's at the hotel, and the date card arrives. Nate's reading it, and it's going to be Rick, Rodney, Nate, Joe, Martin, Olu. Love is messy, which leaves Brandon to be, is it Brendan or Brandon? Brandon. To having the second one-on-one this episode. I did feel a little bit bad for like Olu for not getting the one-on-one here. Obviously there's only so many that they can have, and the kids gave the other one-on-one to Clayton. So I felt bad for Olu though. Because like, you know what, you didn't get that one-on-one, you're definitely going to be going home. It's just exactly. You don't have time.
And from everything we've seen of Olu, he seems great. So it's just like, it's kind of shitty that he never got the chance to really develop his relationship with her. When he had time with her, he really tried to make it impactful from what we saw. And it just sucks because I would have rather seen him a lot more than some of these other people that time was spent on.
So Dabu says that Colton's season had one of the highest ever ratings. So I think Clayton will have similar impact, same target audience. I did not enjoy Clayton or Colton's season at all. I'm so not their demographic. Wow. I thought he was wooden. I was not interested in his story. I always felt that he was phony. So yeah, maybe it is a similar archetype. Boo. It's so bad. So we get the night portion of Clayton's date, and all I wrote down was there is zero authenticity in their conversation. Zero.
Yeah.
Like how he asks questions, it seems like he's trying to be engaged, but we've talked about this before. He kind of asks questions that it's just like, shut up. He'll be like, so what makes you like so strong-willed? Shut up. Like, I don't know. I have a really strong mother, and I had a healthy relationship with I don't know. I know that he's trying to get these deep moments with her, but I like when things are a little bit more authentic than the producers being like, make sure you have a deep conversation with Michelle. And he's like, oh, I guess I better ask what makes her so deep.
Yeah, it's not, there's no flow there. It feels very like da 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 da. I need to end by crying, so I need to get from point A to point B, and like, how am I going to hit on all these things? Oh, and especially when people have revealed like some serious stuff, like, and I'm not saying you have to, as we know this is a touchy subject, but again, in comparison, it's not hitting on anything.
And it just seems like there's no life behind his eyes in this particular conversation. Like, I don't know more about Clayton. I don't know what he likes. I don't know what he actually finds funny. I don't know what his personality is. I don't really know what he's looking for in a partner. I don't know what makes him I know nothing about this person. And neither does Michelle, apparently, because she does not give him the rose here. And she said that there's something missing for her. And I think it's what's missing for all of us is a personality.
Yeah. She can't get there, obviously, because there's nowhere to get.
It's so funny. Like I said, personality now. I didn't even realize that I wrote down that he has no personality. I thought I was just saying that like right now thinking about it, but he doesn't have a personality for me. No intrigue on my, like, from what I've been shown about him. Definitely wouldn't even be the guy in high school that I'd be like, ooh, he's hot. Like I wouldn't even be like interested in him in high school when I had zero taste.
He'll be assigned a personality from production. He will be assigned a personality and he will perform it as the lead of the show because you are just reduced to being some kind of archetype as the lead of the show. So they probably want to keep it vague because then they can push whatever qualities they want.
That's true. They can try to repair their franchise with this play. So, I mean, I love the scene though back at the hotel where the Grim Reaper comes and takes the bags out. So that's hilarious to me. They're just like, "Whoa, Clayton's bag," and you hear Rodney's like, "He gone." It's like I laughed so hard.
He's gone.
Yeah, he gone. So we thought that was going to be the end of Clayton. Jeez Louise. But then we get him go into the limousine, and he couldn't seem to squeeze out a tear in the limousine. But he does feel as though he was very vulnerable and very open with Michelle, and is like, well, I didn't see it, so clearly she didn't either. Then the next day, we see him having a moment with these students of Michelle's that love him so much, giving him hugs and both leaving him notes that he can't read until they're gone. So the kids leave and he reads these notes about these kids saying that he is such an amazing man. And they're so sorry that it didn't work out with him and Michelle, but they know that he's going to, make a really great husband. I think one of the kids had said, not in this part, but that he has big muscles to carry groceries in with. I'm just like, what'd you think about this post elimination? It's kind of like an epilogue with the kids.
This in-house writer that they have penning all these notes this season is really working overtime. Especially that second note that was clearly not written by a child, though I'm doubtful that either of them were. What the hell was that? Why? That was insane. Like, what was that? That was where I felt myself like leave. It happens to me sometimes when I watch this show. I felt myself leave my body, and I was just like, no, like I can't get into this. I can't. Like, this is why. Like, what impact could he possibly have made on these kids that they wrote this note? And then why are we still continuing to perpetuate this idea that like they're setting the scene for next season, which is like, as everyone's pointing out in the chat, traditional. What is he going to do? He's going to be a great husband. He's going to have tons of children. He's going to live happily ever after with his wife. Like, it's like no emphasis on anything else, just like on hitting these like very, very basic guideposts of what this should culminate in. No space for like anything else besides this idealized version. I hate it. Like, I actually hate it. The fact that they even had to put this together like means there's no highlight reel to show of this man. Like, they had to like create a Bachelor origin story. I feel like they might as well have been holding like signs with the lines on them for him to hit in his interview. Like, they had to have been.
Well, we do get the kids saying that they want to come in the letter, that they want to come to his wedding. Like,
come on.
It's so phoned in. And then in his ITMs, he's getting all choked up now. They're like, okay, finally we get you to cry here, talking about how he just wants to have, find love so badly, and he wants to have a family. It's just like, okay, we got your line. thanks, Clayton. And your season's going to be about you finding love and starting a family. We get it. Yeah, it's very. Do you think we're dumb?
Yeah, like most casting directors would have cut him off midway through that performance. Like,
I just want to find love. Like they probably gave him the drops so he can squeeze out a tear.
that's what I'm saying. He's trying not to blink. He's trying not to blink so that he can conjure up some tears. Oh, they got a lot of work to do.
So bad. It was if that all of this episode up until this point is an indication of his season, I'm not going to enjoy it. Like it was bad. Okay, so BB says maybe Colton never dated a black woman. He was a little bit uncomfortable. Very possible. I can very easily see that being the case. I think that Michelle does allow people to feel very comfortable. I would think. But he definitely didn't seem to be vibing with her. So it could be because he's not familiar with dating someone that's black. It's possible. So Mary says there are so many other options, but yet they chose him to be the Bachelor. Ugh. Yep, well, we feel ya. Wait, really, Chantele, you are failing to disguise your cynicism of Clayton. Oh, I'm sorry.
The Clayton podcast channel. It's just all Clayton updates every week. That's what we're going to transition into. You know, can't resist. He's so magnetic. I can't help but follow his every move. What an exciting guy.
So boring. My goodness. Anyway, so that is the end of Clayton's Bachelor audition. So now we see, I feel like if you guys watch the challenge at all, I feel like the same casting director or producer that's obsessed with Josh Martinez is the same type of person that's obsessed with Clayton. Like, it's just, they don't get it. We don't want it, but they think we need it, and we don't.
At least Josh is entertaining and naturally emotional.
Fair. But I think it's they're just shoving someone down our throat that we're not really that into. It's just like, get a clue, guys. Like, we've had enough Josh. So we've had enough Clayton. Like, I don't want a whole season of him, but we're going to be getting it. So Dabu says, I'm guessing many women on Clayton seasons will be mothers and he's perfect stepdad. Do you think that he's going to be there? No, I don't think there'll be any mothers. Maybe
there totally will be. Yeah, because he's so great with kids.
So great with kids. So great. But like, he's not I do not see him looking for a relationship with a woman that has a child already. I personally don't see it. Just for like the cookie cutter thing that he's going for, I just don't feel like that's the route that the show would go in. I don't think so. All right, so Clayton's done. Let's go to the farm group date. I thought it was pretty funny. We see Rodney milking the cow and he's kind of sweet talking the cow. It did make me feel slightly uncomfortable, but like in a humorous way. I did find it a little bit uncomfortable that it seemed like Michelle wanted to just basically make out with Nate, but like pretending like that she's like dating other guys at the same time, because like any moment she was like locked eyes with him and like staring at him, and he snuck a couple kisses and stuff, and I'm like, like I felt on edge.
He was playing his moments though. I feel like he was like slyly finding ways to talk to her, like connect with her. So
hurt his back so he can get a little bit of tension from Michelle. Have you ever had anybody churn butter for you?
No.
About the intensity of Rick churning that butter?
No. I think the best thing about this group date is us finding out that Joe is a natural with the animals. And I actually agree that is an interesting indicator of someone. I'm not saying that you have to be like perfect with an animal, but there's something to be said about someone who just is able to naturally connect. And he was I found that to be attractive personally. I was like, oh my God, he can like milk this cow. He's feeding this calf. Look
So
at this
cute.
care and sweet attention. We love to see it. I liked
We love
it.
to see it. Absolutely. I thought it was very sweet as well. And I do agree that animals are really great judges of character, I've found. Whenever, say, a girlfriend has a new relationship and they have a dog and the dog is barking at this new relationship, I'm always like, they usually know pretty well, like, that maybe this is not the right person for you. And I've never seen a relationship last where the animal doesn't like the partner. So it's definitely a good indicator. These animals know, they know best. What was I going to say about the churning butter? Oh, okay. About the milk. So that was prop milk, right? Because this milk come out of the cow looking like perfect, pristine white milk.
I
It just
truly don't know. I was under the impression that it didn't look like literally 2%. Um, I was more so impressed with the volume. Like, obviously, I know that cows can produce milk, but I was like, did they really each get that much milk
I
just
don't
now
think
as they were
so.
milking these cows? I don't think so. That's a lot. Like, it was like a full like liter for some. Okay, not a full liter, but more than it looked like.
And more than I was expecting. So I was like, you know what? This is prop milk. I don't think that it's real. Measuring it up, and I was like, no, there's no way that these people did this. This is somebody's our set deck brought in that milk to set.
Yeah, like
Definitely.
filtered white milk.
Hell no, Josh is worse. But there's a producer that loves Josh that will always put him on the season. So
I would rather see Josh as the Bachelor than Clayton. That is my
let me see.
hot take.
I do too. He's more interesting.
I would rather see that, honestly.
I would. I agree with you. I would rather see Michael A.
That comes back to your baseline is like I'd rather see Michael A, which is like our definitive no. But that ranks higher.
I
That
would though.
ranks
I would rather see Michael A than at
yeah.
least like I don't particularly enjoy Michael A, but he does have perspective. He does have those like hallmark lines that he uses. He does have a story like that he's come from. He is a father, and you can see, even though if I think it's a little bit contrived, but he has a relationship with his child, obviously. So he's just more interesting all around what I've learned from Clayton so far. Like, I really don't care if you can make a good fort. Like, you better be able to make a good fort, but like, I don't care. What's his sign?
I don't
I
know.
forget. Like, I think he's like a decent sign for Michelle, if I remember correctly.
I can't
All
remember.
sus. So churning butter, Joe's really good at it, and Nate's starting to get a little bit jealous that Joe seems to be a little bit better than him at everything. Which I like that they have a slightly, it's a little bit of a rivalry in a positive way. There's sometimes people will take these kind of rivalries and make it very negative and kind of mean, but I find that I think they have a friendship, and then they both are like the same girl, and they both know that they're the two front runners. I think they know that.
Yeah. Seems like everyone has a feeling for that.
I do love though Joe outperforming Nate. Nate handles it in a way that's quite cute. I don't know. I'm liking
Yeah,
Nate
I
even
think
more
like
this episode.
you said, a healthy rivalry. And he understood that he couldn't beat him. Like, he was just naturally like good at those things, which makes him, really fit into that like kind of like dream man thing. But it didn't take away from his ability to just be confident as always. So I liked it.
Yeah, me too. And also, we're saying when Nate hurt his back and he goes in for a sneaky kiss, and I was just like, oh my god, people are gonna see that there's like a connection here. And I just felt like I was just worried for them. But then a similar thing happened with Rodney and her, and they go in for like a teeny kiss. I like Rodney a lot. I'm happy that, spoiler alert, Rodney does get to the hometowns, but I don't see them having as much chemistry as she has with Nate or with Joe. So I was kind of like, or even Brandon, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Rodney's the clear fourth at this point, I think. But I'm glad that he is the person who's sticking around because he's one of the more endearing people that's left. So I'm glad that she made that decision for sure.
Me too. So we go to the night portion of this date. The only thing that I wrote down was Nate has never brought somebody back to meet his dad. His dad said that he never wanted to meet any of his partners or whatnot. But Michelle seems to be the only woman that he actually wants to meet his dad, which I thought is very telling. And he does say that I am falling for you. So, and she said that she was falling for him as well. So that was a nice little moment.
And kind of a setup for next week in which maybe he's one of the people whose parents don't think he's ready or whatever. It's a big leap to go from never bringing somebody home or never feeling like there's something that you wanted to bring home to bring someone home on TV and also potentially get engaged to them at the end. So that's a lot, but I think there's always going to be that obstacle regardless because it's such a strange situation in and of itself. It's kind of unique in that way to even be in a position where you're bringing someone home to meet your parents that you're dating on a show. So I think we'll see. Their connection is so good that I think it's not actually going to be a problem, but they need to create some kind of chaos there.
Yeah, it can't be super easy because if we're all like, she's picking Nate for sure. We have to put a little bit of an obstacle in there, even with him making him the villain for half an episode. Also, did we ever see the moment where someone said you're an actor trying to be on a TV show? Did that moment pass and we never got to actually see it?
I can't remember now.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do. I have to go back and look at that. I feel like it probably already happened, but I can't remember.
But I feel like it was supposed to be directed at Nate. I thought it was going to be coming out this particular episode. I don't remember. Oh, I haven't seen it. I wonder if they just cut that because it didn't. I don't know. I'm not sure why they would cut it. So Mary says, I like Nate. I do see some red flags with him, but you can't deny his connection with Michelle. Mary, go on, please. What are the red flags that you see with Nate? All right, BB wants to know, do we think that Michelle would have dated any of these guys without the show and vice versa? Yes, I do think that she would. We know that she would date Joe. We know that she would date Nate, absolutely. How they hang out. Tanya showed me some pictures of them on their date and just the way that they're cuddling, sitting on the boat together. They kind of just fit. Even height-wise, she fits perfectly into his armpit. You know what I mean? They're just they seem to fit together very well. So I would say those two for sure. I can see her dating. And even Brendan, I could see maybe in high school. And that's no shade. I do just think he's quite youthful.
Yeah. I mean, the obvious answer, like you said, is Joe. Because allegedly they were spotted together. But they matched up, or at least spoke in the DMs. So she would have been entertaining that possibility for sure.
Yeah. The other guys, though, I never, Rick, no. Clayton, no. Rodney, he would have to be working really hard for it. I think he'd have to be pursuing her actively, and then she'd finally give him a shot. But I don't see them initially having that vibe unless they start off as best friends and then it developed into something else. But nobody else in the season I can see her obviously dating because they went home.
Yeah.
I loved learning, though, that Joe's grandparents had a dairy farm. So this is why he's able to be so comfortable with milking these calves and whatnot. So I thought that was sweet to learn about our guy, Joe. I just said Rick is too intense. Did he do something specific? That's all I wrote down for him. He's too intense.
He moves through life with intensity. That's his resting state.
And then I wrote down that Roddy is a bit too eager. I think that he knows that Michelle's a catch, absolutely gorgeous, smart, talented, funny, all that stuff. And I think that he realizes that he's not the guy. Because he just seems like she's out of his league to a certain extent. And he's just kind of just too eager for my liking for him.
He was doing the most.
Okay, now this is probably your favorite person having a conversation with Michelle. Martin, what do you think of Martin's interaction here with Michelle, where she talks about how like she's such a strong woman and whatnot?
I just don't believe anything he says. I don't believe anything he says. I feel like any of the complimentary stuff he said to her are things that he thinks he has to say, and I don't buy that he actually feels that way about her. And the underlying like tension of him feeling like their last conversation was a misunderstanding is very telling. Like, I'm not trying to address like also his posts, like hate on this person. Obviously, I get that not everything that we see is an indication, but there's something off-putting about the fact that when you're challenged, you immediately react this way. And then also on top of it, she's given him a few times to actually explain what he meant, and he's never articulated it. Like, I think he keeps harping back on this point that there was this misunderstanding. What was the misunderstanding? Like, I still don't know what he thinks the misunderstanding, like, what was he actually trying to say when he
that she didn't seem to get
emails that he didn't, like, she asked him then, and he had the opportunity to say it a couple more times too.
Well, maybe not understanding in his eyes is agreeing with him that women in Miami are whatever he called high maintenance.
Yeah, but then it's like
that's the misunderstanding though, is that she didn't agree with his take, generalizing an entire states or cities worth of women.
Yeah, I don't like he wasn't able to explain because it that is what it meant. Like, there's no layer to what he was saying. And then I personally like find he was kind of being calculated in how he was answering her in the current conversation, the one that we're talking about right now, where she was like, what are some things or like challenges that you have? And he said, or like ways that he like comes across, and he said, I'm very direct. People like to say that they're very direct and that gives them a pass to say whatever the fuck they want. That's not how directness works. Like, you can be direct, but it doesn't mean that you can say rude shit and then like that's part of your directness, and that we just have to accept that because that's how your personality
and you don't have to say things if people don't ask you for it. Like, you can be like, oh, I'm just giving you constructive criticism. It's like, well, if I didn't ask for it, it's not warranted. So if you are being direct and like, I don't want you to be direct here, like it doesn't land very well, Martin. Like, she should have directly said to him, like, well, I think that you're an asshole. Like, that would be direct. Like, maybe that's what he needs to hear.
I'm from him from that conversation. She didn't trust him. So then he just showed himself, and it's not someone who's compatible for her at all.
For anybody, really. I mean, I don't see him being compatible with somebody at all. Like, anybody that's interested in that vibe, like, whew, that's not the type of person that I'd be seeking out to being a love interest of mine. So then we see Martin talking to the guys and Olu picking up on this conversation, where Martin says that he doesn't think that Michelle understood his last conversation. It's just like, when she understood your last conversation, you didn't seem to get that you were being uncalled for. And then he proceeds to say, which I think was the rudest of the rudes, about her poem that she shared that was very personal and very vulnerable. She uses that word a lot. And he decides that because she hasn't got over that yet, that she's immature. And I was like, my mouth was hanging open by the audacity of this man who has zero emotional intelligence, deciding that she's immature because she hasn't overcome trauma fast enough for his liking.
Exactly. That's a very ignorant statement to make. First of all, like, whatever pace someone comes to address their own stuff is valid, and there's no timeline that somebody needs to be on to satisfy somebody else. I would also argue that it's not immature. She's actually vulnerable and discussing things that have impacted her, which is part of how you process any type of traumatic situation or situation that's happened to you. So it's just like very telling once again of like what his mindset is and why that is just like not something that I can get behind. If that's how you feel about someone like revealing something deeply personal and that you believe that they haven't resolved that as if that's how life works, and that makes them immature, then you need a serious reality check. Like, that's not how things work at all.
Not at
And
all.
that's really rude, and also like really means that you didn't hear her when she said any of that at all.
And this actually reminded me, he wasn't there for this particular conversation, but when she was talking, I believe it was with Rodney, where she had a past relationship and someone called her the N-word and she was very hurt by it. Obviously, it's very traumatic. It's a very weird feeling when you just get undeserved hate from somebody that you don't know. The word is a very hateful word in my opinion. So I totally can understand how jarring, and it's happened to me before many times, where it's like, it's so jarring. And her partner, who I believe wasn't a POC of any sort, was like, well, like, just like, oh, don't let that stuff affect you. And it's like, well, you know what?
You don't get it.
If I couldn't let it, if it didn't let it affect me, it wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like, but it did affect me, right? Like, it's just like, it's very convenient for somebody that's never had to experience any sort of feelings of not belonging because of the color of their skin, primarily, I would say, like, for them to be like, oh, well, you should get over feeling like an outcast in high school. It's like, no, it's not outcast in high school, Martin. It's feeling not comfortable in your own skin because you're one of a few Black people in a school and you never felt that you were pretty or picked or any of those things. It has nothing to do with being, a wallflower in high school. It's a very different conversation. So I was infuriated by him even making that immature comment. It could have been Frankenbite because we do not see his mouth move saying it in that moment. It is voiceover. So maybe he didn't say it in that way. But Olu did take it upon himself to go and talk to Michelle about the situation. So what did you think about this move? We usually don't like the tattletale. Personally, I was here for it. So what do you think?
I was here for it too. She needs to know, especially like that he's undermining her amongst the others. Like, I think also for that to come from Olu, who she does trust and understands based on her interactions with him that he does seem to have good intentions and talking to her and understands where she's coming from. They bonded about that exact conversation that's being referenced here and having shared experience or understanding of that. It was the perfect person to deliver this in a way where it didn't feel like he was doing it to stir shit up. It was just like, she really does need to know that this is a thing. And that coincides with the doubt that she already had about Martin anyway. So it's kind of like, normally this doesn't play out well, but given the fact that she already had trepidation about this person, this was almost exactly the last piece that she needed to just like finally cut the ties and say goodbye confidently to someone that has been disrespecting her, honestly, behind her back and to her face, actually, as
She's
well.
just all around rude and thinks that
Yeah,
it's her fault that she's perceiving him as rude. It's like,
yeah.
no,
It's so
it's because you're
rude.
rude. You're not direct. You're rude.
Exactly, exactly. That's what I mean. Always rude people say that they're direct, and actual direct people don't say they're direct. They just are in the situations where they need to be. Like, that's not an excuse to be an asshole and then be like, I'm direct. I tell it like it is. Like, there's an important distinction there.
Yeah, it's like qualifying your bad behavior.
Mhm.
It's like, you're just
Yeah.
rude. I don't like you. So Michelle decides to go and pull she picks up the date rose, and takes Martin over. So do you think that he thought that he was getting that rose?
I don't know what he thought, but I don't think he thought he was gonna be let go because he was surprised when she told him. So, delusion.
I did love though, like Nate, like kind of like creeping over, trying to see how the conversation's going, and then all the guys are giving like a play by play, like, "Ooh, it doesn't look like a good conversation. No, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good." I was like, I thought that was quite humorous. So when she's talking to him, he is so condescending. It's so infuriating, and I'm very surprised that she kept her cool. He is definitely the type of guy that if she raised her voice or did anything, he would be the somebody that would call her being aggressive or something. Like, he's that type of guy, being like, oh, she must be on her period because she was acting crazy. Like, you know what I mean? That type of guy. But she was explaining in a very calm fashion about what she had heard from somebody. And there was one line that he said that I would have punched him, I think. And I'm a pacifist, but he says, like, well, like, am I allowed to talk?
Yep. Am I allowed to, if I'm allowed to say that?
If I'm allowed to. The
See,
gall.
he probably hates cancel culture.
I hate him. He does. He does. He
You know?
totally hates it. He doesn't get anything. He's not deep enough for me. He's too basic, like, boring guy. Like, jerk though. So I wrote
If I
down Martin is a jerk.
if I
Hmm?
can say that, like the way he said that was so snide.
If I can
He
say that.
he called her my love, Bean.
Oh,
He called her, and she's like, "Not my love, no."
not my love. Not my love.
Out of here.
At least she ends it with, like, I don't trust you, so I'm gonna have to walk you
Yeah,
out. And I was like, yes, thank you, Michelle. Like, I knew that he wasn't gonna be making it past this moment, but I was like, he needs to go. Like, this I feel like Martin is who Katie was pretending that Thomas was,
yeah.
because that's the type of guy that like, with that kind of, when she pushes him and be like, your bachelor audition is over, like that whole, rose ceremony of it all. That's something that would be deserving, I think, for the Martin type character. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But I didn't see any of that in Thomas. And then I also didn't see Michelle, who deservingly could have been a lot more rude to Martin. Like, she was still quite gracious with walking him out. So thank goodness he's done. He's gone. And then this guy in his limousine, when he's leaving, is
he's
angry with how she handled it. Excuse me. And then has the gall to say that she doesn't deserve to be with a guy like him.
big Yusuf vibes. Like, that's what I mean. Why
I
is
feel
that
sad for her. He
instinct?
says, I feel sad for her.
Why is that your instinct, that like you were let go? You've been acting like an asshole. She was pretty nice, all things considered. And then your instinct is F this. I'm just gonna spite her and just like say mean things now. Like, what does that say about you? Like,
Mm-hmm.
relax. Have some respect. Leave with dignity. That comes across so much better, even if you feel like you were wronged. Like, you just come across like a jerk at the end of the day with how this played out. And then, yeah, you're posting in these shirts on your Instagram about how we don't really know anything about you. It's like, true
I know
enough.
enough.
But from what we've seen, there's a lot of things that are not looking great, you know? Like, I'm not loving how you navigated a lot of situations.
At all. Like it was really uncomfortable to watch. Yes, being my love line, like it was so uncomfortable. So Dabu says Martin is Paradise bound. He'll be the Kenny type next season. I can see them throwing him on Paradise because he's going to get a lot of negative attention, and that means ratings most likely. So I can see him on Paradise for sure. He's definitely like.
What cologne do you think he smells like? Dior Sauvage?
No, he seems more like I don't know if there's a male version of this, but like Dolce and Gabbana's light blue, but like the male version of that scent. You know what I mean?
We're thinking like a Spice Bomb, Victor and Rolf, like
or Angel for men. I mean, yeah, not my smells. I don't actually. I want to know though. I'm gonna ask him on Instagram. Like, what's your cologne?
Someone get that answer. I need to know.
I do need to know. Not gonna lie, it's the most pressing of questions that I need to ask Martin. So to quote, he said, "A woman like that doesn't deserve my time." Oh, okay. Okay. The gall.
Because your time has been so fabulous. Like, you've used it so wisely thus far. I mean, geez, we would all be so lucky to sit in a tin hot tub with you.
Oh man, he's the worst. The worst on this season so far. Like, I think I like Jamie better than him. I like Chris S better than him. I will give myself 5 points for him becoming the villain this episode because like he was pretty villainous, I would say.
Yeah, he's with all the vills too.
So. Yes, he's definitely he vibes with the villains, and maybe that's why he doesn't seem to like Michelle is because he's hearing all the negative stuff from all the villains, and he's probably believing it. So that he's believing into the conspiracy theories of the villains. So maybe that's why he doesn't really have a clear perspective because he's not teaming up with the good people.
Mm-hmm.
So we do get Nate getting this group date rose. She lets them know that they, said she sent Martin home. She does say goodbye to everybody that night, but she gives Olu a hug. She does say, "Thank you for having my back." And so I do think that Olu knew that he was going to be going home, but he didn't want her to make a wrong decision or make a decision without having the full information. So I think that's why he kind of stepped in and said something. I'm happy that he did, obviously, because it created some drama. We got to see Martin's true colors and got to see her not caring about him.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have the final one-on-one, and this is Brandon's one-on-one. And I've been saying that Brandon is quite childlike, teen-like, and they gave them a very teen date. So they go and they get some ice cream, of course. What's your ice cream flavor of choice? What do you like?
Ooh, that's hard. I like something that's got like, some texture to it. So I could do anything that has like a caramel, like ripple. I don't mind there being like something that I can chew. But I don't go for any one particular flavor. This depends on my mood. Like not fruity flavors, like things that are like baked goods, like classic.
I usually the one that I buy, it's called So Delicious is the brand, and it's a cashew based ice cream, and so it's dairy free, and it is a salted caramel swirl or something like that, and it is so good. It does have bits of cashews in it. I usually buy more cashews from the bulk store and I put them on top, so I even put even more cashews in it. It is delicious. There's also chocolate in there. Yeah, it's very good. And like
any of those Ben and Jerry's flavors that have like lots of different textures in the mix, but I like anything like that.
I used to love a good Blizzard. Did you do a Blizzard thing, Blizzard moment back in the day?
Blizzards, McFlurries, love that.
I used to like getting the Reese's Pieces in my Blizzard. I haven't had Blizzard in a while. We should Summer come back, Summer. Hi, Guy. Thanks for joining us. So I think he knew that he wasn't going to make it to hometowns and wanted to create some trouble to leave a mark. So is this Olu or Martin? Do you mean
Martin? I think
probably. Okay, I was good. I was giving Martin the side eye when he started defending that guy who was spreading rumors about the guys in the house. Yes, question Michelle. Absolutely. Like he's defending Jamie. What? Okay. Pick and choose your people that you want to defend, Martin, and it's telling. So BB says, I predict that if Martin goes on Paradise, he will lose the frosted tips. You think? You think Probably. That someone will give him a haircut and give him a little bit of a makeover?
Probably.
So, there was a couple things about Nate that I wanted to just pop in here. I think. Where was it? Okay, so Mary was saying that it seems like Michelle might be more into Nate than he's into her, and he doesn't try hard enough to open up. What do you think about that?
I can see that. I could see that. I think I don't know that she's more into him than he is into her, but maybe.
I think that Nate is on a TV show and he doesn't want to look completely dumb. So I think that he might be holding back a little bit and he's doing enough to make it to the next round. So I think that he is holding back a little bit just to protect his heart a little bit, but I think that he really likes her.
I think so too, but I could see how it does seem like she's more in than him because we still have yet to figure out like what's really holding him back. I guess we'll find out next week as that gets revealed, but yeah, it's true. If you compare like what the moments that she's had with Joe or the moments that she's had with Rick or whomever, where they've had some pretty deep convos.
Yeah, they're sharing with her, and she shares with Nate. So
yeah, and she shared with him. So maybe there's more that we didn't see, but not sure.
BB says, I think that you're an actor moment was just in the teaser that did not become part of the edited show. Other viewers have noticed this as well. Okay. So I guess we're not going to find out who they were talking to. I think it was Nate, though, which I want to see that scene play out. Okay, this is a good question. So how the hell did Martin last this long? Michelle must have seen something we didn't, or maybe she was blinded by the frosted tips. I think you just didn't have an opportunity to get rid of him. There's just so many people to get rid of, and they do need to keep a villain in the show for every episode. So I think that he just stuck around last week because they needed the villain to stick around.
Agree.
Pretty much. Okay. And so getting back to Brandon's date, they go to her parents' house and, my parents aren't home. Here, borrow my father's swim trunks. Like, let's go into the hot tub and the pool and let's make out there when my parents get home. It was just such a high school date. And it's funny because I've been saying that he's so juvenile from just seeing him that they gave him a very juvenile type date.
Yeah, they did. And it was like the payoff of the parents coming home while they're on the date isn't worth it when they're just like sweet, cute people. And there was like no drama. They were just like, hello. Like they just like walked in. It was like very chill. It wasn't, oh my gosh, my parents are home. Like it was just like, oh, here they are. Hi, Michelle. Like now we're going to have a conversation. But it was telling that he got this date because it did seem like a lock that after having this, he would get the rose.
Mm-hmm, of course.
So it's interesting of all of the people that was like the locked in like rose for the ceremony. But although I guess she gave Nate that group ceremony rose too. So interesting. But I'm glad he got that date. It helps him catch up a little bit to other people in that it is like in her house. He gets to meet her parents. But That's a
what about the line, oh, your teeth are really straight here?
I like Brandon. I think he's
cute.
endearing and cute, and like he seemed really nervous, but he held his own, I think, given the situation. It was a little bit awkward at times, like definitely, including the asking them for permission. I get the intention, but like it was he seemed like a high school kid asking. He did.
Yeah, he asking for their daughter's hand in marriage. It just seemed a little premature. Like they have their first one-on-one and he already wants to propose. I understand wanting to get that approval if they get there. And they do say, like, hey, if we trust Michelle's opinion. And so if she's willing to say yes to the proposal, we support it. So that was a good response. And he thought it was the best response he could possibly get. But I just thought it was like a little bit premature to be asking at this point. It's your first date.
I was like, you do that at the next meeting that you have with him. Come on, don't you know the order?
Not this one, but maybe he realized that he's probably not going to be meeting them.
Yeah, he did his shot now.
Let me just do this just in case. He does tell Michelle that he's falling for her. I don't know what the actual line that he says. Does she say it back? I don't remember her saying it back. I
honestly wasn't super paying attention to what she said.
So for the night portion, he does give her a bracelet. So I'm gonna give 5 points to you there. Obviously, you get 5 points for the one-on-one date. A bracelet that his mom gave to him that he's supposed to give to a woman, and if she gives it to Michelle, I guess, that she will know that that she should be treated as well as they treat him, or something like that. What do you think about this gesture?
Nice gesture. Appreciate it.
I couldn't see it. I wanted to see what it looked like. I couldn't tell what it looked like. Yeah,
that's what I was wondering. This franchise has a long and storied history of giving people jewelry, as we watched play out in Paradise last season. So to me, I was like, the fact that it's like a family piece, I think elevates it a little bit more than random chains that Chasen gave Deandra. But either way, nice gesture. I don't know.
Yes, I wrote down, he did say, I'm falling in love with you. So he was definitive about it. I don't think she said it back though. But he does get the rose, so she will be going to meet his family, and his mom's going to see this bracelet on her wrist, unless she doesn't wear it, which would be very scandalous. That would be interesting. Vivi says a little bit premature or a little bit immature. I think both.
Premature.
Both of those. Premature meaning like too early, and immature meaning like he was trying to play the role of an adult here, and it came across as not well timed. Not well timed at all. So Debus says about Nate here, not convinced that Nate will leave his life in Texas and go to Minnesota as much as he likes her. Well, I did see Michelle on an interview this week where she says that where to live is what she wants to be deciding with her person. So she didn't come into the season saying that they had to move to Minnesota. She said that she wants to finish up the school year, but she is open to moving locales. So maybe Michelle's not going to being a teacher. Like maybe she is going to change and step into the world of being a Bachelor Nation influencer and a couple. So this could bode well. Like maybe it's not Texas. Maybe they'll decide collectively to move to an LA or something. But she did say that she's willing to move from Minnesota, but it is a conversation that she would have with her partner. So that tells me that she's choosing somebody that doesn't necessarily live in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So we get to the pre-rose ceremony, and obviously we get Tayshia and Caitlin coming in saying that there's no cocktail party, and Michelle knows what she's gonna do. So poor Olu and Rick. Joe must have still felt decently comfortable, and then Rodney was a little bit nervous that he didn't have a chance to talk to her a little bit more. When we go right into the rose ceremony, and she chooses Joe first, no surprise. And then the second person she chooses is Rodney, meaning Olu and Rick are going to be leaving. And the final four men of color being Nate, Joe, Rodney, and Brandon. So for the first time ever, 4 men of color.
Yeah. Making history with that.
Pretty cool. And as somebody stated before, I think it was Vivine saying like, oh, the final 4 is 4 men of color and the next Bachelor is 8th place white dude. Wooden white dude. So wooden.
I know. But I'm really glad to see who made it to her final 4. First final 4 in a while where I think I actually like every single person in some way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously,
I like them,
but historic for the fact that it is like 4 men of color, which is one thing. But then I'm also like, oh, they're also people that I enjoyed this season. There's not like a super dud in that group or anything like that. So really,
and they're going to be heartbroken whoever leaves any of these positions at this point. I do think it'll be a Rodney, then do you think she's going to go to the fantasy suite with Brendan?
Yeah, that's just like when we started, I was like, it seems to me like Rodney's the clear 4th, but I don't know. It seems like she has more of an actual connection with Brandon than Rodney, so maybe, but it's just to me like Joe and Nate, and then the other 2. I'm not sure, but I think she would keep Brandon over Rodney, maybe.
I do think that, but I think Rodney's out next, but I just don't know if I see her going to the fantasy suite with Brendan. So maybe it'll be one of those like, if she chooses to forego, maybe she's like, you know what, I just don't think that that's appropriate, and maybe breaks it off then, and then just goes to the final 2. Anyways, not sure how that's going to play out, but I'm very happy with this final 4. I'm still really happy with Michelle's season. I know that it's not the ratings blockbuster, and people have their theories as to why, but I do think for what I enjoy about The Bachelor is seeing people having a love story. I do want to see people that have connections. I'm not really here for the drama necessarily, but I do want to see her doing well and having connections and maybe finding her person. So I think it's delivering for me on those fronts, and so I think it's a very successful season.
Yeah. And I'm just like glad for her that there are, through the casting, at least she was given a pretty decent cast, because we were concerned about what would happen, knowing how they've basically like kind of fucked with leads of color in the past in terms of the pool of individuals that they present them as options. So it's just really nice to see that hopefully, this leads to a happy ending. But I think it will. I don't foresee this not ending in a traditional way. I do think that she actually will get engaged at the end. I know they're trying to like sprinkle in that like anxiousness. And there's very natural to have doubt about that because it's absurd as a concept. But I think for her, it's probably going to end in just classic Bachelorette fashion. And I'd like to see that.
Me too.
You could use that going into the holidays.
Yeah, nice little love story. So BB said it is appropriate that Michelle Seasons follows the BB23 cookout team. You know what? It's really interesting that it most likely won't happen again in not in The Bachelor. I don't necessarily see this being a possibility. I just don't see it happening again. But even with Survivor right now, like the Black players are choosing to work together, and I could very easily see, unless somebody else interjects here, it's easier to break it up on Survivor than it is to really see what was going on in Big Brother. But it's because when you increase the diversity and people are like, oh my God, we've never had this chance before, they're going to latch on to be like, let's try to make history here, because like it's probably never going to happen again. And so I'm here to see it. I never thought I would ever see this before. I don't think we'll ever see it again, But I'm loving the fact that Michelle is having a history breaking season, regardless of what the ratings are. So kudos to Michelle, handling herself amazing. I'm so happy that she has a final four of very great catches, really great examples of men from what I can tell. Yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah. I can't believe it's like already hometowns next week. And like, it seems like we fast forwarded like so quickly to the end phases of everything. So we probably have like a couple, like what, 3 or 4 more weeks, I guess, right? Like if you factor in the men tell all and whatever way they decide to break this up. Wow, that flew by.
It did. Because like we're on episode 6. I guess they're only going to go to like episode maybe 11, 10. Sorry, 10 maybe?
Probably, right? Because if it's
short.
next week's hometown, then fantasy suites, then probably like tell all, then finale, or some type of version of that. It could be done in 3 weeks if they do that thing where they put, because is Dancing with the Stars done now? Is that what the conflict was? So maybe they'll do like a Monday, Tuesday or something. Yeah. So,
yeah, we're getting a couple double episodes for sure. So I'd say 3 weeks this it will be done.
Yeah.
3 weeks, 1 or 2 double episodes.
Wow.
Well, was there anything else from this episode that we didn't touch on that you wanted to?
Not really. Honestly, it was not the strongest episode of the season. It was a tougher one to stay engaged in. No fault of Michelle's, really. It's just like,
we don't care about Clayton.
Yeah, exactly. And like that was such a heavy, like forcing us to enjoy moment that made me not want to. So it was, we had to get through it, and now we're on the other side. I'm looking much more forward to the ending now that we've gotten past that.
Well, now that she has these connections with these 4 men, and I have an idea of how things are going to play out, but I don't know how they're going to play out. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Well, thanks also everybody here in the chat for joining us. You make it a lot more enjoyable having these conversations about this show, especially when you have a bad week like this one. If you're watching in the replay, make sure you like this video. It really helps with that algorithm thingamajig that YouTube seems to recognize. And if you want to leave a comment, so comment-wise, do you think that Colton is going to be a good Clayton? I can't even say his name. Clayton is going to be a good bachelor. And also, what is your ranking? So how do you think people are going to be eliminated? Who's going to go out 4th, 3rd, and who do you think will be the final 2? And who do you think will ultimately take the final rose? So let us know your thoughts. Who do you think? Is that your same order as me?
I think Nate is going to win. That's what I think.
I agree. Oh, but we'll just take a peek at this as well, which I think is great. As usual, I haven't updated the damn scores. I will do it before this season is done. I swear to goodness.
Well, we each have 2 people in right now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to show you, which I thought was pretty great because last time you demolished me, but this time I'm not doing so terribly. People-wise, point-wise, you're probably still killing me. So I'm going to lose, obviously, a brick. I'm also going to lose, thank goodness, Clayton. Like, he was like my number 1 pick because I thought that he was going to deliver, and he did not deliver, even in points. Ugh.
No.
And get rid of Martin. So you got Joe and Brendan, very strong, because I think he's going out 4th, he's going out 3rd. So we picked pretty fairly, like pretty evenly, which is amazing.
I just think there's no way Joe is going to be able to just like get to an engagement place. Like I'm finding he's so reserved, and I just don't know that that's going to happen. And as much as Nate is on your team and not on my team, I just think their connection is a little bit stronger. So I think you have the winner here, but I'm glad I at least have Joe. I hope Joe actually is number 2 and he's not out sooner for some reason.
I know some people have been speculating that they think that Joe is going to self-eliminate. So
Oh,
I don't know why they think that.
possible. He might not be able to.
I could see him out of the final four being the person that would do that.
Yeah.
So Tamika says Nate is the winner in my opinion for a few reasons. Yeah, I think that Nate is the winner too, just because Joe doesn't open up that much. I know someone was mentioning that Nate doesn't open up, but Joe doesn't really open up. Like, he has had a couple emotional stories that he's shared, but he's still quite reserved with his energy. And so I feel as though Nate is more open with his energy, and like she can feel how he feels about her. And I don't know if she gets that same feeling from Joe. So
it's also like if she chooses Joe, it's a person who's from where she's from, and potentially, I think, does he still live there too? Probably, or
so. Mm-hmm.
So like you kind of can see what your life will be like if you make that decision. And that's a good option if that's what she wants. But if that's not necessarily really what she ultimately wants, then the other option also presents itself in that way. So I just don't see it going any way other than Nate. Honestly, I just don't.
Yeah, Tamika's agreeing with us here. So Nate allows Michelle to open up to him and he can support her, Joe the other way around. Exactly. So we're saying that Nate is the only person that Michelle has been comfortable enough to be vulnerable and open to him, instead of being the support system for other people sharing what they've experienced and been through. And so that is definitely one of the reasons why we were both saying that Nate is more so a front runner, because he's offering her the support. So totally agree, Tamika. I think that I got the winner on my team, but I don't know if I got the points. So can't wait till see how the rest of the season ends up. Thanks for joining us, everybody. You guys are the best in the chat. You guys are so fun. Thank you, Tanya, for spending some time with me again this Wednesday. And we'll see everybody again next week, Wednesday. Bye.